welcome and welcome to Changed Lives. Now today's story is quite an interesting one, particularly for those of us who live in Cornwall, as this refers to a Christian festival that was held in Cornwall. It's called My Journey, and it's a young man who's exploring the truth of science and God. So Keith, thank you.
Right. My journey. I was brought up by Christian parents. When I was a child, I even went to Sunday school, where I was taught many Bible stories. However, these were just nice stories to me. As soon as I was old enough to make the decision, I decided to start going to church on Sundays. To me, as a boy, I found church a boring club that I didn't want to be part of because I could think of far more exciting things to do with my weekends. During my teenage years, I was introduced to science. I liked science because I always had a logical mind, and I felt that science had a lot of answers. It was during this time that I was introduced to the Big Bang Theory. I don't think I ever felt completely comfortable with this idea, as it seemed to make no sense to me that something could come from nothing. No one would make a skyscraper and say, wow, that's amazing how that made itself. Sadly, as a young boy who could be influenced, I did accept the Big Bang Theory simply because I had come to trust my science teachers. And this was now what everyone believed. I suppose at this point I was very naive and didn't want to be different, so I just accepted what I was told. Without any sort of spiritual influence in my life, my focus in life became how can I best pass the time. I very much embraced the saying, if the dead don't rise, let us eat, drink, for tomorrow we die. I tried lots of different things to find fulfillment, happiness and identity. No matter what I tried, I couldn't find any lasting joy. It was during this time that I discovered surfing. I found surfing to be the most peaceful and exhilarating thing I had tried so far. Following an unlikely series of events, my sister and I ended up going to a Christian festival in Cornwall in the summer of 2009. I obviously went for the opportunity to surf. We surfed during the days and listened to the bands in the evening. One evening, a man came up on the stage and said something like, if you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus, then put your hand up. To this day, I don't know exactly why, but I put up my hand and received some leaflets. But I left feeling slightly deflated. I quickly forgot about saying I want to know more about Jesus when I returned home, but God didn't forget. I gradually began to realise that money doesn't necessarily make people happy. And if I wanted true happiness, I would have to put my trust in something other than sex, drugs and money, which society, friends and TV had told me would make me happy. Sometime after the festival, I suddenly had a hunger to read the Bible. I found a Bible that had been on the shelf at home for years. I started at the beginning and just read. I found the more that I read, the more hungry I was to read. I would read on the bus, journey to and from school, And whenever else I got a chance, I knew that people would look at me strangely. But I knew in my heart that the things I was reading and thinking about were far too important to let what other people think affect my search for the truth. I approached Jesus very scientifically. I needed evidence. I couldn't be 100% sure Jesus was the Son of God. Then I wasn't interested. I found lots of evidence for God over the following few months, so much so that I was convinced. I can now say to people I was 100% certain that God is real and Jesus is the Son of God. I was convinced intellectually. However, I had a desire to know God personally. And so I began a search after miracles and found out the nature of God and get to know him. I have continued on my journey, and I know the journey is not over, but I do have a personal relationship with Jesus.
I remember that young man that we met those years ago, and it was great to talk to him and to have him share with us his journey. But it's great, isn't it, that becoming a Christian isn't always a sudden inspiration.
No.
Sometimes it is a journey. And I'd just say to people today, if you're thinking, just wondering, reach out and ask Jesus to speak to you, because he wants to be part of your journey to him. Thanks very much for listening. God bless you all. Look forward to seeing you again another week with another story of a life changed by Jesus. God bless you.
God bless and thank you.